Chapter 28. The library is by far the largest single building Rosner has ever been in. It is as big as the harbor in Tichthrum, with sections as high as the cliff the tower rests upon. Immense light illuminates the entrance foyer through large stained glass windows 40 feet high and 5 panels wide, each about 20 feet. Several balconies wrap around the foyer in a wide girth. Thick pillars run from floor to ceiling along the balconies with intricate designs in golds, reds, greens, and several other vibrant colors. Kisra lets out a nervous laugh, momentarily forgetting her anger towards Rosner. "I cannot believe we are in the library." Scribes bustle around with arms full of books. Several busy themselves with leading visitors, few as there are, through the complex maze that is the library. Before them stands a large scribe center made of black wood. The massive circular desk has several creatures occupied with various activities, all of which include moving paperwork, it seems. The marble floor gives away their approach. One elf stops what she is doing, almost with pleasure, and asks, "Has you being here been approved?" Interesting, given the unnatural round her head and wide-spaced eyes. Rosner originally would say she is half, but her skin tone is little off. Perhaps she is from the islands far to the east. From what little he has heard, they tend not to leave their homeland. Upon reading the document Kisra hands over, she shows a spark of hesitancy. The elf calls someone, an older dwarf. As he approaches, she switches dialect. It is aggressive, and several sounds are sharp, but there is an almost mesmerizing flow to it. He too reads it. Then he looks the party over, first one, then another, and down the line. Finally, the old dwarf says in a rather indifferent voice, "Follow me." They are led in silence, deeper into the heart of the building. After rows and rows of books, many decorated pillars, and countless scribes, everything becomes a blur until they stop in front of an old, reinforced oak door set into aged stone. The surrounding stonework and artistry shows their age. The paint is faded and discolored, and the sections of the stone are cracked or even chipped in some places. Cyan thankfully asks what Rosner wonders. "Where are we?" The old dwarf turns and eyes her. Then he handles a large ring of keys. "This is the heart of the library. This is the original library. Everything you see here is an addition." He inserts the key but stays himself. "I am not permitted to enter this room. Most of our people consider it sacred. The fact that you have been granted acceptance bothers me. However, who am I to question the decision of our God?" After opening the door, he pauses in its entryway, looking at the group. "You are given permission to enter any hour, as I am sure you are aware. If you want entry, you must find me. No one else will open the door for you. When the door is open, 2 members of the order will stand guard. After one cycle, your access will be revoked. Questions?" Rosner considers asking about the guards, but is rightly granted his answer as 2 hooded figures, red robes and gold tassels, appear, one from either end of the hallway. Build says they are both male, one orc, one man. Otherwise, they are indifferent. Satisfied, the dwarf leaves. The group, however, stands a moment longer, hesitant. Then Huon clears his throat. "We have a list of items Tyriane would like us to search until he reaches the city. I suppose we should do just that. Before they left, Huon sent a message to Tyrain, letting him know his request was granted. How the orc sent the message, though, Rosner does not know. He wandered alone when the group set out for the library, and was waiting in front of the building for them later. Still, no one moves immediately. Awe and shock really are not the best words to describe how Rosner feels, though he cannot speak for everyone else. It just feels eerily familiar to another moment in the past. The energy that radiates from the room, he experienced it before. Before he can finish the thought, the group enters the room. He is not sure who makes the first step, nor does he realize he follows. Everything has aged. The floor, the ceiling, the books, even the air. Instead of flames of the life-giver, orbs of white light illuminate the small cluster of rooms. Mesmerized by the unnatural oddities which he has only previously heard talk of, Rosner plays with its light, barely registering the others leaving to search the ancient books. The orb has no heat, but it is not cold either. Closer he pushes his fingers to its center, though, the thicker the air gets, like water, then syrup. Finally, he pulls himself away and finds a room no one is in yet. There are a few to choose from, so he goes to the furthest one. Similar to what he glances at from the others, this one has a small desk, no drawers. An old lantern sits in a corner, dormant. Rosner is not really sure what he is looking for. He is never told, aside from Tyrain wanting to know about the history of the gods themselves. Of course, anyone can go to a library and find information on any of the gods, especially if someone looked at a monastery dedicated to a specific deity. So whatever the half elf seems to be looking for, he is not satisfied with the contents of any modern description, nor does he seem to accept the more aged transcripts. He wants something from before the war, and up until now, Rosner believed, like most, that texts such as those were lost, destroyed, or otherwise unobtainable. But looking at this collection causes him to rethink his position. Walking around, glancing at the titles, Rosner cannot sense the true nature of how old these documents are, other than old. He cannot read any of them, as they all seem to be in different languages. Some of the titles have flowing symbols, while others are sharp and aggressive. Yet some combine the two in a unique display. He finds himself intrigued, yet oddly frustrated. No matter how curious he is, he will never be able to read their contents. Goddess of mysteries, why? Rosner looks back at a book near his knee. He may not be fluent in other languages, but he knows those words. That name. Nymphr apio vilfre gehae kim devig rul glive ki men devayin, Death King of the Seven Realms. Memories from the past surge in front of his mind. I need your help, the Death King tells Rosner. Why would I help you? Because doing so will help your brother. The response is so immediate, Rosner feels his throat seize up. He takes a while to respond. Slow, careful, and quiet. How do you know about my brother? I can allow myself to only say that Potri failed to help him. You need the dragon's tear, the fallen one of two who were once one, the Death King explains. You have a question for me, do you not? Strongheart observes. The Death King of the Seven Realms spoke to you. He must not be ignored. Rosner raises an eyebrow. Really? So, what if I do? He cannot be ignored. A dragon's tear is the most powerful elixir in existence. Its properties cure almost any disease or evil essence from the body. However, only one tear of such power is produced for every dragon, and there is only one point at which one can harvest something like this, at its death. So all we need to do is find a dragon near its deathbed, and no. The dragon still has power, even near death. They choose whether they release the tear or not. Rosner leans against one of the stalls. Oh, the dragon you seek has already passed. They say its tear was never harvested. So how are we supposed to get it? If the Death King requests that you retrieve it, then the tear survives. The elixir. Cadoric. Rosner starts looking intently for any book he can read, hoping one will give him what he seeks. He does not get far before a voice sounds behind him. No amount of research will help you. Rosner stills. What does he want now? He turns. Sitting on the corner of the desk is the Phoenix. Is that so? Rosner says. The Phoenix rocks to his feet, saying, It is. Rosner eyes the God King, making sure to keep his distance. So, why allow us into this place? The Phoenix waves his hand at the entrance. Allowing them entry allows me to talk to you. Alone. Rosner's hand effectively reaches for his sword. But it is not there. All of them had to give up their weapons upon entering the library. What is the issue with talking in your throne room? Rosner asks, his voice straining to remain stoic, but his insides are churning with worry. The order is true, but there are some things that they do not need knowledge of, the Phoenix admits. Rosner forces himself to take a calming breath. Okay, sure, he says. So, what is it you want to know? We still are not in the correct location for the topic I wish to discuss. Okay. Well, where... Rosner barely registers the blade buried in his heart before his vision blackens. Oh, look at this. You are back. Before Rosner, a tall, portly figure comes into view with the same strange aura as the girl he met when he was in the same darkness last. He has a patchy beard and looks like he just woke up. And you brought a friend. The man's somewhat upbeat voice quickly turns annoyed. Hello, Atheris. The Phoenix greets evenly from behind Rosner. What are you doing here, Torsiaisk? The man calls Atheris asks, though it sounds closer to a demand. I need some questions answered. You know you should not be here, Atheris insists. Forget that, the Phoenix, Torsiaisk, snaps. There may be an issue that requires everyone's attention. There are no... The elixir! Atheris seems to consider his next words carefully. What of the elixir? Torsiaisk steps forward and points a sharp finger at Rosner. He mentioned the Death King sent him to seek it out, the God King snaps. It seems as if the statement sheds light of clarity on the old man. So, that is what he has been up to, he says more to himself than the other two. While Rosner tries to follow the conversation, the phoenix starts to glow more vibrantly. His voice falls flat. Etheris. Answers. Not riddles. Etheris, however, is cheerful again, which seems to infuriate the God King more. No riddles, the old man says. If you do not understand, it is not my issue. Just know you should not need to fret, I hope. Rosner hardly catches the last part. When he looks at Etheris, the man stares back at him before continuing. So, you are looking for the elixir. I suppose you will need to know where to look. Rosner is too shocked to speak. Could it really be this easy? After so much trouble? Well, I suggest starting with Perelios. He should be the easier of the two. Rosner cocks his head, unsure if he hears the man correctly. Perelios, he forces out. As in the eyes of Perelios? Etheris nods. The very one! Though you know what you refer to as eyes are not really that. Rosner waves his hand. Perelios. Etheris cocks his head before looking at Torsiaisk. I did say yes. No? Now Rosner waves both his arms to get their attention. And what do you mean by easier of the two? The man shrugs. Oh, he says indifferently. The other would be Savonia. I believe you call her the life-giver, which is quite misleading if you ask me. Really? No one asked you, Etheris, Torsiaisk sighs. It seems his temper has subsided and has been replaced with his customary annoyance. Etheris looks at him flustered. Thank you, Etheris, the God King says. You have clarified nothing. Rosner feels a sharp pain in his chest. Then the phoenix disappears. After a moment of silence, the old man says, I hardly ever enjoy those meetings. Now, Rosner, in order to reach Perelios safely, you must talk with the Sphinx. They keep the secret of realm jumping even from me. The matter of them figuring it out is still baffling. However, Perelios should be aware of your arrival once you do make it. He should be able to help you reach Savonia. More relies on your success than you may ever know. Rosner wakes up on the floor, leaning against the bookshelves, just before the phoenix walks out.